Inventions, Ceramics. Hello and welcome to this episode in my Iconic Inventions playlist of hidden history, the channel that explores what the textbook ignores. I'm Andria Redlin. I am an author, graphic arts student, history lover, obviously, and I love diving into the details of history often not found in textbooks. The weirder, the better. On my channel, we also love to give shout-outs to the creative people who inspire our topics, so stay tuned to the end and I will tell you about our featured artist. So in today's episode, come with me as we head back in time to about 28,000 BC, a long time ago, where I will be telling you all about the fine and necessary art of ceramics, aka pottery. Now, 30,000 years is a long time for an art form to exist. I think we just found the world's second oldest profession. You all know what the first one is, wink wink. Anyhow, 28,000 BC is the time period from which the oldest known piece of ceramic came from. It was found in what we know today as the Czech Republic, so check it out. I'll introduce you to the Venus of some words I can't pronounce because I don't speak Czech, so I'll just put them on the screen for you. There. The Venus of whatever. No, I can't pronounce Czech. Here's another few views of this tiny little statue. Just to give you an idea of how tiny, here's another photo. Now at some point in time, you've probably putzed around with Play-Doh, or silly putty, or actual clay that came from the earth, but what is clay exactly, and what's it made of? I'm just going to focus on natural clay for the purposes of this video, so if you want to know all about the versatility of Play-Doh, I suggest consulting your nearest child. Now the clay you get out of the ground, also known as wild clay, is typically dug near the surface of the earth, less than 2 feet below the topsoil, usually near a stream or other area of water. Sometimes deposits can form on the bottom of a pond or an area of a stream where the water is more still, On land, clay can be found in a moist or dry powdery form. To put it in more simplified form, clay is comprised basically of minerals, water, and organic materials. That's pretty much it. Okay, now that we have an overview of where clay comes from, how does it turn from a big blob of mud to a beautiful piece of artwork that will have your grandma screaming, "Don't touch that, it's a family heirloom"? I shall tell you. Before and during the time an object is formed out of clay, the clay itself will go through many stages before it becomes that precious heirloom on your fireplace mantle. There are 2 sets of stages, which I will call the pre-firing stages and the firing stages. Now, pre-firing. Stage 1, the slip stage. Ooh, that sounds intense. When stage is in the slip stage, or as I call it, the slop stage, because that's what the consistency is like runny pudding. It isn't so much used as a building material at this point, as much as it's kind of used as a sort of glue. In this creamy, runny form, yum, it is used to bind smaller clay items to larger clay items, such as handles to pots, whatever. You can also pour slip into a mold and cast objects that way, similar to plaster casting, as well as using this goo for decorating the surface of a clay object. Before researching this entire process, I had no idea you could do things like that, so I think it's really cool. That's one of my favorite things about doing my research for the content in this channel. I learn new and often fascinating, unexpected things that I find really, fascinating. Stage 2 is the plastic stage, which is when clay is wet and pliable, holding its shape when you mold it. When clay has just come out of the bag, that's the stage I'm referring to. It's new, it's easy to cut, it's easy to work with, but it is limited by the fact that its own weight can often cause it to collapse, which leads us to stages 3 and 4. These consist of the soft leather hard stage and the stiff leather hard stage. In the soft leather hard stage, the clay is still damp, but it's more structurally sound. This stage allows for a more successful attachment of one piece of clay to another, such as a flat circle to a cylinder, forming a vase. In the stiff leather hard stage, the clay is even drier. Though it's no longer soft, its outer surface can now be carved or decorated with more precision. At this point, breakage will occur if you try to bend the clay. The last stage is the bone dry stage, when the clay no longer feels cool to the touch. You can also no longer feel moisture with your hands. And this is also when your piece is most vulnerable to breakage. The pieces are now referred to as greenware. At this point, handle them with care because they need to get fired to attain lasting durability. Boy, if only that happened to us when we got fired, huh? Yes, I'd like to attain lasting durability. So, why do we fire clay, and how did people figure out how to do it? The firing process itself forces the clay object to undergo several physical and chemical changes that turn it from dried mud to fancy artwork. The innovative discovery of the durability of fired clay is thought to have occurred when primitive people noticed that cooking fires made on top of soil that had high clay content hardened the earth on the spot where the fire was built. Remember, when clay is heated to a high temperature, it undergoes both physical and chemical changes. Dried clay objects are fired not only to prevent them from dissolving when exposed to water, but also to increase their durability. Clay firing is believed to have originated in China, but this was not the only ethnic group to have discovered the process. Many cultures throughout time have learned that on their own, clay can be shaped, dried, and fired to create a permanent structure that can last thousands of years, unless you break it. After firing, the clay item is now referred to as bisqueware. Firing stages. The first stage of the firing process is called the atmospheric drying stage. This is when the sculpted clay objects are placed in a kiln, which is the machine that does the firing, and slowly heated to allow the remaining moisture between clay particles to evaporate, which is the water that we can't feel with our hands. The heating must be done very slowly, or the creation of steam in the objects can cause them to break. The next stage is the dehydration stage, which differs from the atmospheric drying stage in that the clay will now chemically change to a point where it is no longer water-soluble and able to be reformed. From here, there is no going back. Don't say I didn't warn you. The next stage is called burn-off, which is reached when the temperature inside the kiln is between 572 to 1470 degrees Fahrenheit. As the name implies, this is when all the organic matter in the clay begins to burn away. Things like tiny fragments of wood, bugs, carbon, sulfates, etc. During this stage, it's very important to have good ventilation in the kiln, or it can affect the quality of the finished product. The next stage is called quartz inversion. This typically occurs when the kiln temperature reaches 1060 degrees. At this point in the process, the tiny quartz or silica crystals in the clay begin to rearrange themselves and begin to fuse together. It's crucial to have this stage happen slowly, or the object can crack or shatter, ruining all your hard work. And nobody likes that. The final stage is called vitrification. That's a mouthful. Which is basically when the clay object becomes glass-like and impervious to water. Glazeware is when a piece has been glazed and fired a second time, finally rendering the piece functional. It's kind of like coating the item in a super thin layer of glass to make it liquid-proof and usable. There are many types of glazes available, but they can range from shiny to cracked and everything in between. And now, for your pleasure, it is time to introduce our featured artist whose work inspired this video. His name is Phil Hazlehurst, and he is the owner and artist of Hazlehurst Ceramics, an Etsy shop based in the UK. Phil's ceramic pieces are known for the amazing bursts of saturated colors in stunning combinations, which is what I love most about them. I love bright colors because they just look alive, and Hazlehurst Ceramics certainly delivers. Phil's collection ranges from the super cute and whimsical, such as these adorable kittens and puppies, to more elegant creations like this stunning butterfly vase, or this amazing swan coaster. You can find his shop on Etsy, which I have linked below. Now, if you don't find what you're searching for, he does take custom orders, so don't be afraid to ask. He's great to work with. I've commissioned 2 custom pieces already, and I love them so much. And I gotta say that I have never received an item that broke in the mail, because he does a great job packing them. So don't forget to pay this shop a visit to find your next treasure. Well, my hidden ones, that's all I have for you today in my Iconic Inventions episode playlist of Hidden History. It's been wonderful having you all here, and as always, I appreciate a share. If you know of any iconic inventions you want to hear the origins of, hit me in the comments. Until next time, stay hidden. This video was sponsored by Winter Moon Designs, linked below, where you'll find apparel, gifts, housewares, and hidden history merchandise, but no ceramics. I also invite you to check out my women's humor book, Life is Short, So Like the Bull, Candid Confessions of 21st Century Womanhood. We hope you'll continue to support the channel and make it possible to create more exciting content just for you. Thanks for watching.